Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another virtual Pride video. I hope that you're all safe and well and that you are still fighting for what is right, because the media presence around the Black Lives Matter movement is dying down at the moment, but that does not mean that the fight is over. We must continue fighting. Just because the media isn't reporting on it as much doesn't mean that it is over. So please keep fighting. With that being said, I have the link in the description for the Black Lives Matter page that I've created with donation links, petitions, and other ways that you can help, as well as links to help the situation in Poland and Yemen. So that's all at thequeerkiwi.com/support or linked in the description. With that being said, today on the virtual Pride calendar, it is Self-Care Day. So I wanted to sit down and talk to you a little bit about self-care and the importance of self-care. I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included. Sometimes taking care of yourself is really difficult. It's really odd because it shouldn't be, but it really is. But it is so important. So I just wanted to sit down and talk to you about what I do for self-care and some good ways to look after yourself and hopefully validate you and help you take care of yourself. For starters, a lot of what social media tells you is self-care is things like bubble baths and face masks and wrapping yourself up in a blanket and watching TV and eating chocolate and pizza. And that is super important to do every now and then, but that is self-indulgence, not self-care. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in the idea that they have to do that all the time in order to look after themselves, and they neglect themselves at other times. It's sort of this thing of like, I don't have to look after myself right now, I'm gonna do that big self-care day later down the road. That's not good. Don't do that. Self-care is caring for yourself, is looking after yourself every single day. Self-indulgence is good to do every now and then, and it is important to do that and treat yourself. But it is so important to look after yourself every single day. So while self-indulgence is important and a great thing to do every now and then to treat yourself and reward yourself, self-care is vital to your physical and mental health. And it can be really hard to do sometimes, and sometimes it requires like effort to do it, but it is important. And I was going to talk to you about what that looks like and how you can practice that. Self-care looks different every single day depending on what you're doing and how you're feeling. So for example, if you're having a depressive episode, it becomes very easy to neglect yourself and the necessities. So you might stop having daily showers, you might just not get out of bed, you stop cleaning your room and it gets really messy, you don't drink enough water, you don't eat enough food, or you eat too much food and it's all food that's making you feel really groggy and terrible, and you just neglect looking after yourself. Self-care on those days when you're experiencing the severe depression can just be getting out of bed and putting away 10 things from your floor and having a shower and brushing your teeth. That is self-care. That is making sure you are doing these vital things and making sure that you are okay. And although it feels so difficult sometimes, it really does help your mental state and helps pull you out of that depressiveness. Is that a word? And it just helps you get through those days. It's making sure that you're looking after yourself. It's getting out of bed. It's having a shower. It's making sure you drink enough food and that you eat 3 meals and that you brush your teeth. And that's all you have to do. That is self-care. And some days those things are gonna come easily, and those are gonna be like obvious things to do that don't take effort and don't feel like self-care, but they are necessary, and that is looking after yourself. It's making sure you keep on top of your work, but not by overworking yourself. So say if you have a lot of things you have to achieve, self-care would be spreading it out and making sure that you can take breaks and making sure that you can get it done without overworking yourself and stressing yourself out. So if you were to put it off, and then have one day you are so stressed out, that's not self-care. That is neglecting your responsibility, which is ultimately hurting your mental state of being. So by spacing out your work and setting a schedule, that is a type of self-care. Making sure you stick to your schedule, that is a type of self-care. but also recognizing when you need a break. That is self-care. Rewarding yourself when you achieve things. So if you have a schedule and you do 2 hours work, which is what you put aside, and you achieve that, it's saying, wow, look, I achieved what I set to achieve. Now I'm gonna have a break. That is self-care. Self-care is positive affirmations. It's reminding yourself that you are capable and you are strong and you can achieve things if you set your mind to it. Self-care is making sure that you take your medication that you're meant to take. Self-care is listening to your body and giving it what it needs. It's washing your face. It's brushing your teeth. It's eating 3 meals a day and snacks when you're hungry. It's setting goals and rewarding yourself when you reach them. It's taking breaks and having downtime. It's doing things that make you happy while not neglecting things that you have to do. Self-care is going to therapy and doing the work that your therapist tells you have to do. It's feeling your emotions and not neglecting them and suppressing them until you explode. It's confronting things that need to be confronted and allowing yourself to work through your emotions and what you are going through. Self-care is making sure that you are a priority. You are the main priority in your life. It's making sure that your body is your home. Self-care is making sure you get enough sleep. So if you have to wake up at a specific time the next morning, it's making sure you get however much sleep you need to get, whether that be 8 hours or 10 hours. It's making sure that you get that. Self-care is all the little things that add up to you being a functioning human being. And it is important to do this every single day. Because ultimately, neglecting yourself, overworking yourself, not drinking enough, not eating enough, that makes your mental state worse. And it's this awful cycle where you're depressed, so you neglect yourself and looking after yourself, which makes you more depressed, which makes you neglect yourself more, which makes you more depressed. And the cycle goes on and on and on and on and on. You have to fight that. And that's why on those days when you're extra depressed or feeling extra down or anxious, you just do the little things, because the little things can make a world of difference. And for each little thing you do, the more you push yourself out of this and the easier it is to do the bigger things. Now I say this like it's easy, and it's not. And part of it, as I say, is to feel your emotions. So sometimes it's great to just close the curtains, wrap yourself up, and watch TV, because that is what you need. You need a break, and a break is great. You need to acknowledge when you need to take a break. Sometimes you need a day off. And on those days, if you focus on yourself and you give yourself so much love, it just helps to break the cycle that you're stuck in. So myself recently, I've been working really hard and I exhaust myself because I neglect self-care sometimes, which is bad, but it's very, very easy to do. And I notice that I'm burning myself out. And so I stop and I take a day where I drink lots of tea and I'll do a face mask and I'll wrap myself up in a blanket and I'll just watch Disney Pixar movies all day. And then the next day I feel refreshed and I can get back into work. It's important to take these days off every now and then so you don't burn yourself out, so you don't get to the point where you're going to burn yourself out. Self-indulgence is important and it is necessary, but it's not something you do every single day, because at the end of the day, that's just going to stress you out even more, because then you're not doing the work that you have to do, and then you're going to get very stressed. So ultimately, make sure you are your priority. Make sure that you are looking after yourself and that you are healthy and that you are functioning. It's claiming back pieces of yourself on those days when you don't feel like yourself. It's making sure that you don't get to the point where you are burnt out and exhausted, which is so hard. It's so hard. I know it is so hard, and I'm saying all of this like it's easy, but it isn't. And I know that it isn't. Just remember that you are the priority in your life. You need to look after yourself. Your mental well-being is more important than your productivity. We're trained to believe that productivity is the amount of physical things you achieve in order to capitalize, right? Like how much work you do. But that's not an accurate representation of productivity. Productivity can be milestones with your mental health. It can be looking at how far you've come and fought your anxiety or your eating disorder or your depression or your bipolar or whatever. It's looking at how far you've come and how you handle that and all the milestones within that you get over, or how many paintings you've done, or whatever you feel is productive, and acknowledge all those steps that you have done, and don't tell yourself that it isn't enough because you haven't been productive in terms of making money or studying. Productivity is so much more than that, and you need to acknowledge that. Set goals for yourself and reach those and acknowledge those. And take care of yourself along the way. Don't beat yourself up. That's another thing that's self-care. Don't beat yourself up. Validate yourself. That's important. Self-validation, that is an incredibly important part of self-care. If you're struggling to achieve something, don't tell yourself that you're useless and that you're being unproductive and it's stupid, because that is beating yourself up and that's not helpful. Some days things are harder to do than others, and acknowledging that and telling yourself that that's okay and that you just need to focus on the small things, that is self-care. Don't push yourself past your limits. Self-care is knowing where your limits are, and it's knowing that that looks different every single day, and that looks different for every single person. There is no one right way to live your life. There is no one right way to look after yourself and to be productive. We are all individuals and we all experience things in different ways, and we all need to take care of ourselves in different ways. But the few things we have in common is that we have to stay hydrated, we have to eat, we have to sleep, and you have to prioritize yourself. No one else knows how you're feeling. No one else knows what you're experiencing or what's going on in here, so they can't tell you what you have to do. You have to figure that out for yourself. Look after yourself. Care for yourself. Take a break every now and then to overindulge. Do face masks, drink tea. Don't do any work. One day every now and then, that will not impact your productivity levels. If anything, it makes your productivity better because you're able to refresh yourself, make your mind your safe place, and make your body your home. That's a lyric from my song Monsters and Fairies, by the way, if you didn't know that. Link in the description. Just got a self-promo, you know? I hope that this helped validate you at all, and I hope that you understand how important self-care is and how helpful it can be and how necessary that it is. I hope that you are doing okay. I hope that you are looking after yourself during this time, and I hope that you aren't pushing yourself too hard and that you are remembering to take care of yourself. It's a really hard time at the moment, and there is a lot going on, and it's important to fight and use your voice, but it's also important to make sure that you are safe and that you are looking after yourself. Thank you for coming along. I would like to remind you all that I have a podcast with my best friend that comes out every Wednesday. The link to that will be in the description if you wanted to go subscribe to that. We are also both currently trying to save up for new recording equipment, so like cameras and microphones, because currently filming on my phone. So we have a Patreon for that. If you wanted to join our Patreon, you'll get our podcast episodes a week early as well as some other perks. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the description as well. It would be super appreciated. You don't have to, obviously, it's just a choice. But if you wanted to help us save up for that, that'd be great, that'd be cool. Okay, done asking for that now. The link to all my music is also linked below. My song Monsters and Fairies is a really good self-care song, I think. So if you wanted to listen to that, that's linked below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter because I put out like polls and things asking for video ideas and asking questions for things you want me to answer on here. And the links to donate and sign petitions and ways to help situations happening will be below. There's also a link to email me if there's anything you think I need to talk about or add to those links. I will be back in a few days with another Pride video, so subscribe for that. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. I've got a few more Pride videos planned for you and I'm excited to share them with you. I hope that you're enjoying the Pride content I'm putting out so far. I hope that you're learning and I hope that you feel validated. I really enjoy sitting down and talking with you, and I hope that you enjoy sitting down and talking with me too. So yeah, stay safe, keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.